on YouTube on StreamYard. Can you hear me on StreamYard?
I'm going in right now. Display name.
Type in anything.
Dude, I was so fucked. I sat down at 10 and I was like about to start getting all my studying. Yeah, I studied for maybe like 2 hours before. And then literally, I was in the ER. I didn't get back till 2:30. I didn't get back.
Is there audio on this or
The
no?
night, so last night I was at ER.
Here, just turn this up and see if anything happens.
The night before that, I was up till 4. And I had to wake up at 8. So I'm running.
Alright, try talking.
Okay. I'm trying to speak now. I'm trying to load up the courses.
They were like,
Can you hear anything?
so it took
No, let me
I
check.
got seated quickly and like in my bed, and then it took 2 hours to get stitches.
Check YouTube.
Because yesterday at work, maybe we should shut this
For
off.
real. I almost wanted to squeeze it.
You think I should turn this on?
Let me see if there's audio on that.
Is there audio on the YouTube coming through?
No.
The audio on the YouTube is not
It
coming
was just
through.
me and Lady. I was so mad. It was like, you know, falling down. Like, the higher. I wouldn't
You think I can use this? I didn't use
It
this.
would be such a pain. Like, we'd be out till 1, like, the ER. I've done this before. Now, like, it's going to bleed more if you do that.
Do you hear me now?
And then Brian,
On
like, the
YouTube?
normal side itself has the phone.
No, actually, let me
Yo, if I get stitches on this,
Do
refresh.
we hear me now? Do we hear me now?
what happened?
Yes,
It's
yes.
like dripping blood down. Oh my.
Do I hear any voices here? Or anything?
Hang on, I have to head out in a second, but I can call it you right now.
Always we have issues, huh? What is today? 9/25, right?
So as soon as the class gave it, my hand just went.
2019. And what day is it? Monday, Wednesday? What is it?
Yeah,
Wednesday.
yeah. I mean, kind of. I just
Okay, can you hear me?
gotta make sure it still works.
Not through
No.
the.
Do we have any settings or anything here? Invite settings, can we go to settings? Disable audio processing. It says my mic is working. Did you see that? My webcam mic is working.
And then I'm
Let me just see here on mic.
It's all the same microphone it's showing, except possibly line in. If you want to try that. Line in real package, the audio.
I don't think it's working at all. It's not. We're doing the default webcam, right?
typing the whole day.
Yeah.
And then there's a communications webcam. It says it's working. We get any audio? Okay, folks, welcome back. How is everybody? Everybody have their name tags? We have it. Let's talk about some administrative work here. It's not working, right? So what is the key here? Is it
Well,
like,
first of all, your lapel mic is going directly to the speaker, not to the computer, so there'll be no reason to pick up that
take this off, but last time it worked, our lapels.
like the classroom will have to hear the lapel mic, but the computer won't.
Let's just turn it on and see if we can work with this.
External plugins.
Let's work with the external, because last time the external mic worked, right? Last time. Right? And we don't hear any audio here. Yeah, let them know. Be so kind. See if they can figure it out.
Tell IT.
Yeah,
Good. Let me just,
yeah.
what's the number again?
7/8/1771. Okay, folks, how are we? Questions before we begin? We're gonna have an exciting time today together. Good to see some of you back. Some new faces here I haven't seen for a couple of times. Okay, questions before we start?
Dr. Rusnick, she's having some AB issues.
I'm having issues. Did you hear that? What is new? Every time, right? And what do we say? We document. You remember we talked about step recorder? You remember last time I said something about here? And if I type in the word ST step recorders, this program, steps recorder, is really problem step recorders. So when we're having an issue, we can use this step recorder, which is really called problem step recorder, and record it. Just like you're trying to do these assignments and you get stuck, you're in the lab, just turn on the step recorder.
Okay. Thank you.
Right here, and start the recording. And our problem today is the audio is not working on our Ninja Trader. So in this case, we have our chat here. We can even put our chat where we can say audio is not working, and then we can stop the recording, and you can see the steps as we went, and it records the screens. Isn't that nice? Of the steps, and then you can then save this, and we'll save it at the date. What's today's date? It's the 25th. And instead of Monday, it's what? Wednesday. And it's basically problem with audio.
Dr. Rush, there's
Yeah.
someone on the way. Am I good to head out? IT is coming.
I would prefer if you just wait.
Yeah.
Here's my IT is coming. My IT is coming. Hi, what is your name? Park? Right. This is in my class here, Park. And one of the things that we always talk about is technology and issues with technology. My problem is we're trying to record and we don't get the audio coming through. So do you have any clue what to do? Okay, you can take a look while I'll talk to the class. So Park's going to look at our issue of audio, and now I get to talk to you as a class to figure out what's happening. First of all, put in your notes that this Monday, which is what date?
25th.
30.
Next Monday.
Next Monday is the 30th. So September 30th, we do not have formal class because of the religious holidays. But on TG2, Chapter 4, and what? Chapter 5. Plus, that's going to be those 5 chapters. You see that? Those 5 chapters will be what? Those 5 chapters then will cover the book. I will do a review next Wednesday with you. So we won't have any problems. But what's good is between now and next Wednesday to go through that material and ask me any problems. Yes, Zach?
Can you repeat what date that was again?
October 7th is the exam, Monday.
What's the format going to be?
The format's going to be multiple choice on and true false on the book, and then there'll be open-ended questions. The open-ended questions will be what we cover in class. We also have 2 readings in the class. What are the 2 readings? Go to web links. Everybody go to the web links. Everybody in courses? Scott, are you in courses? Are you in courses? Let's go to courses. Let's go to Blackboard. Let's go. Are we in Blackboard? Here we go, Cassie. And when you go to web links, all the way in the bottom of web links in the audit section, go all the way down. All the way down there, we have 2 articles. What are the names of the 2 articles, Casey? Yeah. Automated trading systems, pros and cons. And what's the other one? Casey, you're on a roll. Basics, right? Algorithmic trading, concepts, and what? and examples.
Is this under, where is this?
Web links, Olivia, web links.
Where's web?
Where's web links?
Did you go to our regular course?
I'm on audit.
No, don't go to audit, go to the other one.
Dr. Rush.
Yeah.
So the mic is receiving audio, so it should be playing out to one other thing we could try is ending the broadcast and
No. Okay. Okay, all right, thanks.
and I can
Perfect. Perfect. I agree, yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay, all right. So let me go to Blackboard and everybody can see. Everybody see where I am? Let me go back up. I'm in Blackboard, yes, thank you. Right? You let them. Yeah, okay. We go to, you see here web links? Olivia, do you see it?
Yeah, I found it.
Got it. All the way down. Down, down, down. Automated trading systems, the pros and the cons, and basic algorithmic trading concepts and examples. Those two readings, plus what we covered in class, plus the readings. We'll do an extensive review on next Wednesday. Yes, Daniel?
And you said the following Wednesday, October 9th, is also a religious holiday?
Yeah, the following Wednesday is also a religious holiday. So I'm just gonna see you once a week. It'll be hard, but we'll manage. But guess what? You can review my audio and my video, and you can see my lovely face the whole week. Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. Okay, that was a joke, guys. Okay, but anyways, if I have to tell you, we'll have that applause sign, the applause, laughter. You know what we'll do later on is anybody that wants to, for their project, you can take all my videos and we can add in laughters, my jokes, take out the parts that we don't want to, we can edit it. Okay, so that's my sense of humor today. That's enough of my sense of humor. Okay, we got that. So let's try to figure out what all this is meaning here. And let me just make a couple of comments and then I'm going to go to the others. Now let's go to the audit section. So let's go to courses and let's go to everybody in the audit section. And I'm going to go to course documents. And for instance, I'm going to go to group 3, which has Blake, Cammie, Scott, and Zach. Okay? I'm going into group 3. They've made a folder called Automated Trading and Forecasting Software. Now, what they've uploaded was optimized 10% profit per month, best, Blake, Western Digital, sample M8 crossover performance. And you used in here, then you used optimize, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing, what we can do is, when we do the same one, is write some more in terms of your walk forward, your back test, your optimization spreadsheet, right, that you have. So even if I opened up one of these, I'm using Blake, because guess what, I'm in everybody's group, so I figure I need to do my work. Now, this is in protective view, so I'm going to say enable editing. Everybody can open up Blake's work, that's the beauty here. But one of the things that we want when we downloaded it here, it'd be good to have then, what is this? This is the optimization, right? So we could even put in the sheet then, optimization, and this is percentages. So let's do this, Blake, and everyone else. When you get that, we want to change this to percentages so it's easier to see. How do we do that? One of the things that I'm going to put in my notes here, there's something in programming called object-oriented. We have something called an object. We have something called a method. And we have something called an attribute. I have something called an object, I have something called a method, and I have something called an attribute. How many people know what this is? Raise your hand. And I'm going to tell you that you know. You just don't know you know. What we can think about, and you can put this in your notes, an object is basically something that you can see and something that you can manipulate. So is a sheet an object? Yes. Is a column an object? Yes. Is a row an object? Yes. And what I do with an object, I get its attributes. And put this in your notes. An attribute is the look and feel of an object. It's like an adjective. It's almost as if on Friday night you dress up in a nice outfit. That's an attribute. A method is a verb. It's some action that's done on an object. So in order to get to the methods and an attribute of any object in Excel, I right-click. So let's say, everybody with me, column K, I want to make this all look like percentages. So what I'm going to do, you can do this with me even, you can click on the column, I can click on column K, and how do I get to its properties and methods? What do I need to do? Everybody understand my question? I clicked on column K. Column K is an object, a property. I'm going to use attributes also. I'm going to call it properties. When I click on column K, how do I get to the properties and methods of an object? I right-click. When I right-click, what do you see? What are the verbs? Scott?
Cut, copy, paste.
Cut, copy, paste. It's basically a verb. It's basically manipulating. It's basically doing something to that object. What are the ways to make it look nice? What are examples? Format cells. That's then what? A method, an object, or an attribute. An attribute, right? The way it looks. So now go to format cells. And what do I want? Percentage, and I want it in 2 decimal places. I say okay, and you see here, Blake, how it looks nicer? So you can say here that I have this WDC. This was taken of which companies?
Those were S&P 500.
Okay, so put then here, S&P 500. Rename. And in this case, it's what? 66% profitable for what?
That was for total.
Did you do it, or was it per month?
I didn't do the per month one. I did cumulative.
Okay, so put it as cumulative, but also add per month. So add also profit per month. Needs to be added here. I'm just making yours look good So then you can basically help everyone else's look good. We help each other. And so this way, basically, we optimize this 500 companies. So we should see then 500 companies. We even have more, right?
Because I did different parameters for
Right, because he optimized. Right. Can you imagine doing each one individually, Blake? It would be crazy. So do a description of what you've done. So I'd even put here optimized, you know. Optimized on S&P 500. And then put the parameters. Okay? And do it for each of those that you have percentages. Perfect. And put your name, Blake, put your name, you can even do this, put your name also not only on the name of your spreadsheet, but also inside the spreadsheet. Questions? So, we'll spend more time on this, but I just want to have, for Monday then, those of you that have, that Blake and his, what can I say, the motley crew, right? Blake and the crew will be here, not only doing their homeworks, but helping you. Wednesday, you'll come back with questions of what you have. Number one. Now, Benjamin, last time you asked the excellent question, you said, we want to forecast what? Forward. Remember, you asked that brilliant question? I was so impressed, it's still stuck in my mind. I couldn't get it out of my mind. I dreamt about it, you know. His brilliant question. So my question tonight is, how can we get not only to look back in time, but what? Forward in time. Everybody know Excel. So let's open up. Let's do this. Simple. Let's go to finance.yahoo.com. Everybody there? And what are we going to do with our neighbors? Cassie, what are we supposed to do with our neighbors? What? Help them. So if your neighbors are not at the same place, you glance at your neighbor's screen now. That's one of your opinions here. You glance at your neighbor's screen to be there. And let's just even, we can pick any company we want. Which company? I'll pick IBM. You can pick any company you want. And I'm going to search. And I get IBM today. You pick any company you want. Everybody there? And glance at your neighbor. And you remember, just look. No touching. Just look at your neighbor's screen. And now what I want you to do is I want you to go to historical data. You remember when we were talking about in class and in our readings about data, big data. Remember we talked about attributes. This is a nice review for the exam. In the exam, you remember we talked about the smallest hierarchy of data is a bit. That's a 0 or 1. A byte is what? A bit is a 0 or 1. What's a byte? Who can tell me? Anybody can tell me? It's a character, right? And then I can have in my bytes, I can have a field. And a field is like a column of data. A record is a row of data. And a file is like a sheet in Excel. So I want to download the data, and you want to download the data too. So how do I download data? Zach, how do I download data?
I do not remember.
Well, look at,
Yep.
huh?
I see it says down there right there, yeah.
What?
You have to click download data.
Download data. So everybody download data. Did you get it? And it says IBM.CSV. .CSV. We're also reviewing for the exam. .CSV stands for what? What does .CSV stand for?
Comma separated values.
Extra credit, comma separated values. Folks, you get also, people are asking about grades, you get class participation credit as well. Okay, so when you're asking questions or when you're responding to mine. So comma separated values, yes.
Does that mean that file can't be edited?
No, what that means, great question. You get credit for also asking intelligent, good questions too. So comma separated values means what? Who can tell them? Yes, Blake.
It's a bunch of data values that are separated by commas.
It's basically, let's even make it more articulate for the exam, Blake. A comma separated value would be fields that are separated by some kind of character. It could be a space, it could be a comma, but fields that are separated with no special characters, no proprietary characters that any application can read. So if I wanted to bring this into a database, I wanted to bring it into Excel, I wanted to bring it into an ERP program, I wanted to bring it into an accounting program. All programs, software application programs can read CSV files because they're plain. This automatically does it. Now, what are we going to do? What do you think? How are we going to read it in Excel now? It downloaded it, so what do you think we should do? Open it. Wow, who said that? Okay, extra credit. Okay, so open the file, and you should open it too. Everybody opening it? If you haven't opened it, check with your neighbor. Everybody look at your neighbor to see if they've opened it. Scott, did you open it?
Yep.
Check with your neighbor. Okay, help each other. Isn't that great when you help each other? Nobody's born with this. This is all about data and what? Analyzing and what do we want to do, Benjamin, is we want to forecast in the future. So, one of the things is the date doesn't look good. So what do I want to do? Everybody click on the top, click on the date. Date is my object. I want to format the cells. And I want to go to custom. And in custom, how many hours?
Oh, so you click on column A and click right click and click format cells. You're talking about that one, right? And then
You can see you can have a number of different customs that you have, or you can click on date and see on the date where it has the day of the week, click on the Wednesday under date and let's say okay. And this goes now. Everybody with me? Now we want to forecast. The way I can forecast is with a trend line. Anybody ever hear of regression analysis or R-squared? Who has? What have you heard about it, Scott?
Well, R squared, I mean, isn't that a metric to show like how close something fits to a best fit line?
Beautiful, excellent, yes.
Why does it show up with all the number symbols with the column? Like instead of the date?
Why did it have
Yeah,
like pound signs?
yeah, yeah.
Because it wasn't long enough. It was too narrow.
Freaks out when it's too short.
Well, it's just telling you, I can't display all of it. So you just have to change the format, or you can make it wider. Got it, perfect. Ask me questions, folks. Now, I want to forecast, and I'm going to just do with X and Y. So do this with me. My date, I want to predict, I'm going to use two columns. My date and my open. One is going to be called an independent variable, and the other one is going to be called a dependent variable, right? What do I want to predict? My open or my date? Everybody understand my question? Ross, what's my question?
Whether you want to open, format open or date.
What do I want to predict? Do I want to predict tomorrow's open, or do I want to predict tomorrow's date?
You want to predict tomorrow's open.
And why not predict tomorrow's date? We already know what tomorrow's date is, right? We don't have to do that. What we don't want to do, what we don't know is what? What's going to happen tomorrow? We know when we back test what happened, right? Benjamin, you were telling me that 2 days ago, right? That you knew what happened. What we really want to do is predict tomorrow. So what we're going to do, just so we know this, I'm going to do this under date right here. I'm going to go to the bar here, and I'm going to put, in this case, I'm going to put X is equal to date, so I know. And then I'm going to put open in front of the O. I'm going to say Y is equal to open. And what we can do is we can just do, let's say this, let's just do these first 10 days. And I'm going to make the color, I'll make it yellow. And for my Y, I'm going to make it, let's make it green. Check your neighbors.
Can you turn it into a table? Is that what you did?
What? What did you ask me?
How did you put the dates in order again? Can you turn it into a table or?
No, it came in order like this when I downloaded it from Yahoo. You don't have that? All I did this, oh, here, how do I make it like this? I just colored it. Olivia, I just colored it. What? Do you want me to make it like this? Is this better?
I got it.
Oh, you got it? Good. My pleasure. Okay, folks. Now, I want to insert a chart. So how do I insert a chart? I go to insert, and I'm going to my, if you look here, I want to insert a line or area chart. So I'm going to insert a line or area chart. I'm going to pull this down, and 1, 2, 3, 4, my markers right here, I'm going to do the line with markers. Everybody with me? I'm going to do line with markers. Let me make this a little smaller. I'm going to make a line with markers. And I'm going to make this a little bit larger. Hold on.
I think you just color it yellow. I think it's
line with markers.
And you should get this where it says,
Y is open, and then I have my dates. I'm gonna make it a little bit.
Oh, yours is right.
I can even, if I want to, move it, but I'll leave it as this. Okay?
How did you make the
What?
How did you get the dates on the Y equals open?
How did I get it? Let me just do this and then I'll show you, okay? Do you have it, the person next to you have it? All I did was I just highlight, did you highlight both of these together?
No.
You have to highlight both. So what you want to do is you want to highlight this area, both of them together. You got it? Now I want to go to insert. I want to go to chart, which is I want to go my insert line or area chart. I want to pick the fourth one, which is line with markers. You got that? And now I want to right click and I want to add a trend line. The stock, I can do a linear trend line. And if you see linear right here, everybody here, I want to do a trend line. And now what I want to do is I want to display the equation on the chart. I want to display my R square. And I want to go forward 5 periods forward. What do I need to do? Everybody hear my question? Did you hear my question? Tyler, did you hear my question?
No, please.
I'd love to repeat it. I want to go forward in time 5 periods. What should I do?
Change forward period to 5.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. What a class. Okay, so I changed forward to 5. So make sure you have this. It's going to be linear. It's going to be forward 5. You're going to display the equation on the chart and display the R square on the chart. And now I'm going to exit out of this and I have an R square of 0.107 and the dotted line means what? That's my linear regression line. And notice my data stops here. And why does the data, why does it go out further? It's trying to forecast. Now, does that line look like the original line? No way. So you say to yourself, let me find something that, and the R square, put in your notes here, your R square, everybody put in your notes, your R square goes to what value, Scott? You remember?
Between 1 and 0.
Between 0, which is no, it's not a good fit, to 1, which is a perfect fit. It's like 0 to 100%. Notice this is closer to what? 0, Scott, or to 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's 10%.
It's 10%. It's. I do not want to bet on 10% for my money. Do you? No way. So, go back to the line with the markers. Right click. Go to add trend line. Everybody go to add trend line. And what looks better is polynomial. Let's click on polynomial. Polynomial, is polynomial straight? Is a polynomial straight? What do you think, Jillian? No. And you can see in the polynomial, I want to go down. Make sure you go down and I want to do what? I want to display the equation on the chart. Check that off. I want to display the R square. And what's the R square right now? Scott, 0.37. That's not that great either. So you see here on my polynomial, let's raise the order to 3. Is it better?
Yeah.
How about to 4?
Much better.
How about to 5? And how about to 6?
Very good.
Very good. So put your polynomial at 6. Put your, and what do we want to do? How many forward? 5. Right? And I want to give it another color. You see this little paint bucket? Give it another color, and let's give it the color of red.
Oh, no, that was right.
Help your neighbors. Did you get it? Did you get it? Help your neighbors, folks. Help your neighbors. So what does this mean? Benjamin asked that brilliant question, but we got to figure out what does that mean. That question is, the red dotted line tells me what? What will the future be of the next 5 days? Going up or going down? Up. And my equation, let me move my equation here. And my r squared, let me put this and my r squared looks like it's going a bit down. My rule could be, when both the linear and the polynomial go in the same direction, then we can bet on that direction. We can do that also with NinjaTrader, but we also can do it with Excel. And what I've done is, when I go to automated trading systems, let me go back to our regular one. This is an example that I put in our regular work here. You can see here, you see how this is going down, this is going to be up, this is at point, what is this at? This is at point 8217, this is at 55. So we may not, if in doubt and they're going in different directions, we may say use the polynomial. And these are going to be the future, and just so we know, what you can do later on is we can have something called optimize, and we can test and walk forward as we can make in sample and out of sample. But I'll go over that with you later. But I just wanted to show you in Excel we can do the same forward. You see that, Blake? We can kind of do the same forward walk of giving us some signals of where we should go. And then the next day, what do you want? You want the machine to keep on running it every day, changing it and telling you, is it a buy, or is it going to go long, or it's going to go short, or say, you know what, just don't be in the market tomorrow, too risky. And you can create rules that do that. Okay, the next part. So for your assignment, what I want you to do is create then a chart with your company, with the same company that you were using before, for instance, the IBM, and try to find a company that is also going in the same direction, and then we can look at, for instance, the next 5 periods and saying, are those periods going up? And I'll show you the next time we meet where we can get what we call macros, that we can get the machine to do it rather than us to do it manually.
We have to know how to do it, but then later on, all we have to do is run the program. Questions? And then I can save it, file, save as. I can then save it as an XLS file. And I can save it as, I can put in my downloads, I can give it the date. What's the date? The 9/25, right?
Is it XLSX or just XLL?
XLSX. Because we're going to save it in Excel, and then we're going to put the date 9/25, 2019, right? 9. 2019, we'll give it then the time of, what, 5:55? And we can give it also what? That it's Excel. Poly 5 forward. And we can save. And put your name, of course, in the spreadsheet. In the spreadsheet and also the file name. And upload it. And then what we want to do is the next day, or on Monday or Tuesday, check to see, based on the data, were we accurate? And I'll show you how to create a spreadsheet to see the accuracy of it. And instead of creating it from scratch, I'll give you a file that you can just put in. Let me just show you. Like this. Instead of, let's say you want IBM, give me another symbol. AA, what? Let me enable editing. Let's say instead we wanted to do Microsoft, right? Enable content. And here in this cell I do MSFT. I can move this. You see here, get historical data. Watch. It came up with all my graphs. And then if we read it from a list, it would do this every day. And you don't have to futz around, go to Yahoo, download the results. Just every day it would run automatically using what they call Visual Basic for applications of a program. And if I go back to input price data, I can see, let me just move this down a little bit. It's already doing my graphs for me. And it's going up. Amazing, huh? I can even change my axis each time. Okay. My PowerPoint, let me go to my, you should also, if we think about it, I want to go to, and this, just if you want to just look at it, I put it in our regular section under Excel SX, and these right here, Poly 6 and linear forecasts, actually then are a macro. You see this XLSM? The M stands for macro, and you can just put in field, in B3, you just can put in the symbol, and it will do all the calculations for you. Automated system to analyze my data. Questions?
Where would you like us to save this?
Save it in your audit area under your automated trading systems with your name, and upload it as an item and explain polynomial, what the R square is of the linear, what's the R square of the poly, and what's the direction. What should I
what direction does it seem that I should trade in? Any questions? I saw a hand. Okay. Now if I go to course documents again, go to PowerPoint, go to security. We'll do a review next Wednesday for the exam. One of the chapters we have is security and information security. We're going to need to know what are intentional threats to information systems and what are deliberate threats to information systems, and how do we protect ourselves and information security controls. And when we're trading, this is a question to the class. It's a nice, good, open-ended question. In automated trading systems, do we have to worry about security? And if we do, what type of why do we need to worry about it? Everybody understand my question? What's my question? Zach, what's my question?
Do we need to worry about security? Why do we need to worry about it?
For automated trading systems. Why?
Not sure.
Okay. Who can help? Do we even have to worry about it? Like, you've traded before, right? Do we even have to worry about security?
Yeah, because if someone goes into your account, they could steal your...
Right. First, where am I trading? I'm trading where? Via the internet, right? I'm trading on my computer. I'm not trading in my closet or underneath my bed, right? There it is, right? I'm trading on the computer. Can anybody hack into computers? Yes. Can anybody basically get into my account? Possibly. Can anybody basically then change some of my data or take my money? So, of course, we're going to be interested in securing of that because it's interesting. Am I worried so much somebody's going to get into this instructor computer? What do I have on here? I have PowerPoints. I'm really not too concerned. Am I doing any banking on this computer, you think? What do you think, Blake? No. I'm just coming in, showing you some PowerPoints, playing around with it. So I'm not so worried about this computer that they're going to take my bank account, but I am worried if I'm going to be using it on my phone, right, my trading, or if I'm going to be here. So one of the things that you need to find out, and this is what I'd like you to do for next week too, is we have to know then what is the difference between a threat and basically when we think about it, when I talk about a threat, or an exposure or vulnerability. What do you think? A threat is what? A threat is any danger which the system can be exposed. Exposure is how likely what? What would be then the exposure? The exposure is the harm or loss or damage that can result if a threat compromises an information resource. The exposure, for me, someone attacking my instructor computer here is high or low?
Low.
Low. But in terms of if I'm trading on this machine,
High.
it's going to be high. And then my vulnerability is the possibility that the system will be harmed by a threat. How vulnerable am I? Do I have firewalls? Do you think universities are vulnerable to attacks?
Yes.
Yeah. Right? So one of the things that you need to understand here is in an information security, how vulnerable I am. And those unintentional threats to information systems can be human errors, can be social engineering. What's social engineering? This is good for the exam too. What's social engineering? And if you don't know, what should you do? Everybody's sitting here. Just because we're in a different class, people think the rules are different. You still see me, yes.
Social engineering is an attack in which the perpetrator uses social skills to trick or manipulate legitimate employees into providing confidential company information such as passwords.
Schmoozing. Anybody know the word schmoozing, right? I schmooze and I basically call IT and say, you know, this is, I'm trying to get into this computer right now and I'm having problems, and this is Dr. Rush and I'm right here and I really need it. Or I go past someone and say, let's say Daniel is the IT director. Daniel, you want to go to lunch with me? And then I have Will, come to lunch with me. Oh, leave what you have on your screen. We're just going to go. Or Daniel, you know what? I have something to tell you personally outside. Can you come with me? And Will, you go over there, right? And you basically put a little key logger on his machine and grab his passwords while I go out. Right, so we work in a team kind of way to do that. Or what we can do is what? We can do some type of a social engineering that I need to be social here. And then when you see in the slide, let me just make this slide for the current slide. This slide is just overwhelming, isn't it? But what can I tell you? Anytime you see in the slide where this looks like a cloud, why do you think they made this as looking like a cloud? Because it's on the internet, right? We talked about cloud, the outside threats, malware. You need to know the difference between a virus and a worm. Denial of service, sometimes that's called DOS. What is that? That basically is, what a denial of service is when computers, they're like bots, what they do is they attack a server over and over again. And you know how you could press the key maybe once every second? If you got a computer program, you know how fast that can do? It can do thousands or millions in a second. And what it does is it tries to overwhelm a server. So denial of service means I can take something like an Amazon or a Google, and if I throw a lot of programs at it, bots, all we say is just go ahead and keep on trying to reach that site. And basically what you do is it's so overwhelmed. Have you ever heard about sites when it's so popular they crash? That's basically what you can do. You just inundate it with requests to respond. So that's denial of service. And what they have is they have a number of these that you can see with what the security threats are to hardware from outside, other insiders. A lot of the security problems are an inside job. Or now when you're on the internet, it can be from others. It can be from human errors that you can have threats. Higher level employees and greater access privileges equal greater threat because they have more information. They have payroll information. They may be having access to the secret patent information of companies. Human resources, I can get all the information from social security numbers to other parts of the company. Human error, where you're careless, opening questionable email. This is always a way in which you can get spam, right? They tell you to click on a link from somebody that you think you know. Careless with discarding equipment. Here's an example of social engineering. Deliberate threats, espionage, sabotage, identity theft, trying to pretend that you're someone taking over your identity, intellectual property. We'll talk about this more next time, but you can think about software attacks. When I don't sleep at night, cyber terrorism. You don't have to worry about them blowing up buildings. They'll just do cyber terrorism. Phishing attack. What's a phishing attack? And look how it's spelled. Phishing. What's a phishing attack? Yes. Zach.
So I'm not sure about flipping her, but doesn't it usually have to do with when people send people like things over email and it's trying to listen money for stuff?
Yeah, look it up. Phishing. Everybody write it down. Phishing. NG. What do you get? Folks, these may be test questions. Yeah, Will.
A fraudulent attempt to obtain sensitive information such as username, passwords, and credit card details by disguising oneself as a trustworthy entity in an electronic communication.
Basically, goes out and guess what? They can send out 10 million, 20 million, 100 million, just like Blake was able to do S&P 500. How long did it take? The same as it would take for one. They can send out millions of emails, and if five fools respond, that's good enough. Somebody must be responding, or else they wouldn't be doing it. And spear phishing is what? Anybody ever spearfish? Probably in Florida. It's nice. You didn't spearfish? So what is that? When you physically spearfish. You throw something you see an object and you're getting. You're not just throwing it in the air waiting to write it. It's intentional. So it's this one. It's intentional. I'm looking for certain people. I'm looking for students at a certain university. I'm looking maybe at freshmen, maybe. Or I'm looking to certain ones that I can see. So here's the denial of service that I talked about. Distributed denial of service, that sounds worse. Guess what it is? It's distributing across the internet. Attacks by programmers. Programmers can put in things like logic bombs, especially when they basically a lot of times disgruntled employees. You fire somebody, the same day you fire them, guess what? Spyware. What's a keylogger? You remember when Will and I were going to try to do social engineering against Daniel? What he can do is basically keylogger is he can put something in the back of his USB slot there, and it will record every keystroke that he does. And then we don't even have to do it physically. We can download a software program to his computer in stealth mode, and guess what, Will? We'll get everything that he's doing. Risk. So what do we have to do? Just like your house, if I have a $50,000 house, or I have a $100,000 house, or a $5 million house, I have to figure out if I'm going to insure it, what risks I need to take, and how much am I going to commit. Okay? So we're finished for today. So what's our plan? What's our homework and what's our plan before we go anywhere? So Scott, what's our plan?
For next class?
Yeah, first of all, for Monday, what's our plan?
A religious holiday.
Huh?
Religious holiday.
Holiday, and guess who's going to be here?
Blake.
Blake and his crew will be here to help people with homework, right? And then we'll meet next Wednesday. We'll upload our spreadsheets, and then we'll review for the exam. So bring all your questions for the exam, and I'll help because I want everyone to do well. That's my goal. So stay with me if you have questions. Hey, how are you?